What's up, creeps? Exorcist here, and you are tuned in to another edition of Scurred. It's been a while since this movie's been out, but it's time to smile. Pretty interesting movie overall, actually. It's probably one of the movies that I've been more impressed with in the last, I don't know, even 3, 4, 5 years or more. All the way around, pretty solid movie. So let's break it down a little bit. We have a psychotherapist, I think is her technical title, and she's meeting with somebody. This person is really having a hard time, suicidal, all of these different things. And then, right at the beginning, this whole thing starts off with a bang. The girl looks at her, puts on this big smile, and then, whoosh, like ear to ear, cuts herself. Dead. Boom. So, what we learn at that point is that's how the hallucinations and the curse, if you will, are transferred. So now our psychotherapist main character has the curse, and she starts to see the girl that slit her throat, plus a bunch of other really weird hallucinations. So, what I like about the movie is they could have really gone silly, if you know what I mean, with this whole smile concept, and they really didn't do that. There was a couple parts where I'm like, that was a little silly, but generally they stayed away from the silly, which I really appreciate. They kept it pretty straightforward. Everything looked pretty real. The story's fun. It bounces over here and there a little bit. I actually did not give it a point for continuity, which we'll get into the official Scurred scale here pretty soon, and we'll break it down chunk by chunk. But overall, Smile's a pretty fun movie. It's like I said, one of the better movies I've seen in a while in the horror genre, and hopefully we see some more that are coming out like this. There's been a lot of movies in the past that have been based on the curse. You think things like The Ring, where you watch the movie, yada yada yada. You got to get somebody else to do it, and the curse lives on, passes on, and those kind of things. Whatever it might be, you got to figure out a way to get rid of it by the end of the movie, or you die. So pretty typical curse, paranormal, but also kind of slasher movie. Built right into Smile, as there are some bloody scenes and some pretty disgusting parts where you're like, oh, okay. 90s slasher style right there. So it's a good combination. It's a good mix, and it really works for the concept and the plot of this movie. So, without further ado, let's jump into the Scurred scale, and I will run you down this thing one bullet point at a time. Let's start with the cast. Now, the cast for Smile is actually really pretty darn good. There's no like big names in there, nobody that you would really recognize, but uh, it doesn't matter. Like they're just so good at this whole thing uh, as cast members that it doesn't matter if they're famous or not. Um, the gal that plays the doctor, Dr. Rose, Dr. Rose Cotter, should I say, is played by a gal named Sosie Bacon, and she does a phenomenal job. This is not easy uh, as a as a like being a cast member in a movie like this, because what you're up against is dealing with things that you can't see on the screen. People like us watching it, spectators see it, but you can't see what's in front of you. You have to act that out. And Sosie Bacon just did an absolutely wonderful job. The cast all the way around, while it focuses primarily on her, was just all around solid. Her current, I guess you could call him husband, boyfriend, and then her ex boyfriend has a deal in it. The mother's crazy, and I love crazy mothers. Hi, mom. No, but overall, uh, she does great. So the cast, I did give them the check mark for. They get a point for that one. I think it's pretty great. The setting, while the setting jumps around a little bit, it's kind of a city setting. It's what you'd expect. It's the doctor's offices. You go to, psych wards. You go into, I think, a prison at one point. Uh, and it's everything that you would expect the setting to be. I don't know if I were to pick a setting, if I would choose anything different. And then they go into the house, her house of her childhood, as well as her current house. She sees some stuff in there and some good jump scares coming out of these settings themselves. Like you're in the kitchen, all of a sudden, boom, there you are. So you see a lot of this hospital stuff, a lot of home things, a lot of therapy offices. The setting is everything that you would expect it to be. I don't think they could have done anything else. So I did give them a point for that one. The plot, like I said, we've already talked a little bit about it, is pretty darn good. All the way around, a solid plot. We haven't seen too many movies like this before. The whole "the curse takes me over" thing, and I'm going to kill you or have to pass it on, and give somebody else the smile, if you would. So it's not overdone. While I think there's probably a lot of things that are overdone, this particular plot is not it. So they did pick up a point for overall plot in the Smile movie. Now we move on to special effects. Okay, here again is something that you very well could have just been totally cheesy all the way around, like Grim Cuddy, silly. But they didn't take that route. They took a pretty conservative route. The smiles are creepy as F. Okay, it's not like a big Joker Jack Nicholson smile all the time, but when it is, it's not done poorly. It's done so well that you can actually see the person's face still, and it doesn't look completely fake. So all of the smiles are genuine, and they look pretty darn good. When somebody dies or there's a death scene or they off themselves, whatever it might be, it's all very convincing and it looks very real, and they don't pan away. I'm going to do the slit thing. You actually see that. So that's where I said when it comes into almost the slasher type feel, there's some blood and gore in this movie, no doubt about it. So for overall FX, they did get a point as well. Before I jump too far into continuity, I want to remind you guys, and I'll put the cards up here in the top of the screen. Scurred now has the Scurred Trivia app, and the app is available on the Apple App Store only at this point. We're working on getting it in Google Play, but if you have an iPhone, you can actually download our Scurred Trivia app. Just search it. You'll see the red skull, just like this one. And you can download it. You can test your horror knowledge. So helps the channel grow. Something kind of fun. We'll add new questions all the time as we watch more movies. If you have questions, you can always leave us some suggestions. So quick, short little plug on the new Scurred app. Go to the Apple App Store, download it on your phone today, and let us know. Let us know your high scores. Drop it in there. Also, while I'm at it, like, subscribe, comment, all those things that you should do with your favorite YouTubers. And hopefully we're getting there and earning your trust in this horror space. So hit us with a like, hit us with a follow, and download that app. It is actually a lot of fun. Everybody in my house is playing it right now. They're all asking me for the answers, and I won't give them up. So don't ask me for answers, but always feel free to give some questions. I appreciate it. So we're doing pretty good. We made it all the way up through continuity, and 4 out of 5 points are here. This one's tough. Where you typically have a slasher film and a monster movie, those kind of things, they have somebody that you can look at and say, this is the absolute antagonist of the show. This one's a little bit more complicated. And I guess if you gave the curse itself kind of almost an entity form by itself, you could say that's the antagonist. But really, the interesting point of this movie and why I hesitate to give him a point on antagonist is because it's a little fuzzy. But the idea is really your own guilt is what causes you to do terrible things and ultimately end yourself in front of somebody and give them the curse. You think back to your past, you have haunting memories, maybe some kind of trauma that happened in your childhood, which is similar to what happened in this movie. That's what happens. That uses you against you. So really, your past and your history and your trauma are kind of your own antagonist. And so that said, how's that for life? I think this movie really does, even though it's a horror movie and there's some gross stuff and whatever else, really does highlight mental illness in a different light. and I appreciate it for that. So the antagonist being ourself, I was on the fence, but I overall, geez, I'm gonna give him a point. I'm gonna give him antagonist. I'm feeling generous today, like I have that authority, so they get a point. Well, technically, I do. The ending now. This could have gone a lot of different ways. And what I mean by could have gone a lot of different ways is they could have left it wide open and, made it a sequel, made it very apparent that this thing's going from one person to the next. And they kind of did. They kind of did do that. So is there room for a sequel? Is there more that could happen in the Smile series? Yeah, yeah, the way they left it, I absolutely think that they could do it. Um, you think that she's going to get out of this, and I think that's when you look at The Ring and movies with similar kind of curses. That's what you think. They finally figured out a way to stop the curse. They talked to people who've had it before. What they do? How do I get out of it? And this movie's just the same. So just when you think she's out of it, home free, everything's good. Turns out, maybe not so much. But the way they did it was pretty good. I mean, they put her in a setting where it seemed like everything was real, but it wasn't real. But some of it was real, and then other things were happening. I don't want to be a spoiler kind of guy, but the ending was pretty good, and I think it was solid enough that I did indeed give them a point. So, last part of the Scurred scale, you have scary levels 1, 2, and 3. You've got spooked, shaken, and scurred. Spooked is kind of the baseline. Yeah, there were some good jump scares, and I went a couple of times. Shaken would be like, man, I don't think I'm sleeping tonight. And Scurred is like, I'm never watching that movie again. And this one didn't go all the way up that scale. It just got one of the three. So I called it spooked. I mean, there were a couple parts. One, I remember her standing in the kitchen and kind of living room area, looks over, and the girl's just standing there. And I'm like, this is creepy. So those kind of, and it's always like right in your face. It just happens. So they do a good job. You can almost feel it. You can almost anticipate that it's coming. But then they wait like one extra second. So you almost start to drop your guard and then boom, scary. So I did give this one spooked. I thought overall, it was actually a pretty scary movie. And I really, really enjoyed Smile. So we count up all the points. We add them all together. Solid 7 on the Scurred scale. Okay. And that's not a bad score. IMBD, I think, had it down around a 6 point something. So we're in line with that. I think that the scale proves true again, and we're right on the money with calling this one a solid 7. Would I recommend it? Yeah, I would recommend it. If you have a night by yourself, it's dark in your house, and you want to watch something that kind of makes you look around the corner and over your shoulder, Smile might just be that movie. So I would recommend Smile. It got a 7 on the Scurred scale, and all the way around, just really a fun movie to watch. I watched it on Amazon Prime. I'll drop the link down in the description. You can rent it, you can watch it. And by clicking that link and renting it, it also helps out the channel. So we certainly appreciate that. All the way around, Smile, good movie, a solid 7. And that's our Scurred review of the movie Smile here on the Scurred channel. Don't forget, go download that Scurred Trivia app. It's a ton of fun. You don't want to miss out on it. So, wrapping things up, as I always say, I'm Exorcist, and until next time, sleep tight.